Bone Fest with some friends, and Dakota Lawrence was there. Tina and Emma went with. Amy, Jennifer came down and met some new friends, and a lot of cool people did this show. Some other people that have YouTube channels also were there. It was kind of cool seeing them at the show. But mainly, we just had a really good time, but I'm a little bit worn out, so just bear with me tonight, if you would. So tonight, I decided to talk. Again, lately, a big thing with me has been all ready? Okay. Just cut me off quicker if it's not working. Welcome to SoulTopia Shenanigans with Michelle Welch. We are live on YouTube, and thank you so much for joining us. Tonight, I wanted to talk a little bit about, of course, my favorite subject is crystals, but I wanted to talk a little bit about some things that I've seen going on lately with a whole lot of people. A whole lot of people seem to be experiencing a lot of trouble with breaking away from people or things that do not serve them and their highest good, when they really truly believe that something's really not serving their highest good. So one of the things that is coming up a lot around that I am getting is that there's a lot of karmic activity around that and a lot of karmic contracts. So that brings up a lot that goes into my stellar gateway healings, and whether or not we have to stick with all the contracts that we've made and the karmic contracts that we incarnated and agreed to when we came in. So then I start asking myself, do we really have to stick with those? We agreed to them, are we stuck with them? And is it for our highest and best good to step out of those contracts? You know, as a lawyer, I would deal with contracts a lot. So you can sign a contract, you can get in a contract, and then sometimes for both parties, they may want out of that contract for some reason. So it kind of interesting to look at it that way and to look at, you know, is it always a horrible thing then to maybe renegotiate or take a look at those karmic contracts that we came in with? And is it a bad thing to then say, this isn't serving me. And how do we know? How do we know that it's for our highest good? Or maybe we're just trying to sidestep a lesson that maybe we should have. So I've really been doing a lot of meditating on that and getting a lot of information from the guide I work most with, and that is Raziel. And Raziel is a primary archangel and being, I would say. I see him as an archangel. It could be any type of being you want to see him as, because he's an energy being, a very high ascended energy being. And I personally don't categorize like a lot of people do. They love to categorize, it's this level of being, it's this level of being. I think we as humans do that. I'm going to throw that out to you. We love to put people in caste systems. That either. I don't think there's a whole bunch of hierarchy as we get into our higher states, as we ascend. We are energy beings, and we are just bundles of energy. And so Raziel is a bundle of energy with a high frequency that has a very subtle energy that happens to work with me. Why me? I don't know. But that, and I'll say he's androgynous. This is an energy being again. And so I've been given this healing, this stellar gateway healing that many of you know about. And it's interesting because this is coming into the universal consciousness, because there are other authors that since I began writing about it, and I have handouts that I wrote about that I'm trying to make into a book that others are now writing about. So this is something that's exciting, that other people are receiving this information from their guides and the guides they work with. So about the ties that we have, these karmic ties, how do we know if we should cut these ties? How do we know if we should renegotiate these contracts? Is it wrong to do so? My answer to you is, it's not wrong to do so. Anything that you do in a healing with the proper person doing this healing for you, it could be you, it could be someone else, someone I've trained that works with the Raziel energy and the stellar gateway healings, or from me, or if you feel connected, can tell you if this is for your highest and best good. And you clearly will know. The Akashic records are very, very tied into all of this as well. And so on this matter of cutting cords, a lot of people will tell people, well, you're just never going to be able to get rid of them. They're just going to be in your energy because you have a karmic connection. You've probably had it for 10 lifetimes. It's just a lesson you're learning. Sorry, deal with it. I don't agree with that at all. Is there an instance where that might be the case? Maybe. I have friends who will tell people that. They'll give them a reading and they will say, sorry, you have a karmic tie to this person. Y'all are twin flames. Y'all are soulmates. Those two things are different, by the way. Typically, it would maybe be a twin flame, and and they'll be like, it's just going to keep coming up. That's your life lesson this time. No, I don't believe that. Not always. So you could have a healing, and you could cut cords. Now, the typical way to cut cords, there's a lot of different ways. You can envision those cords being cut from you. You could call in Archangel Michael with his sword of light to help you cut those cords. You could use obsidian arrowheads. Obsidian is volcanic glass. You could use these for a crystal healing to cut the cords. Anytime you want to remove something, you would face it away from you. But while you're cutting, I do it a little different than some people say. I will literally do a chopping and cutting motion that turns into much of a dance, or a hand motion kind of dance, and chop those cords away and then point that away from the body. Now, where, though, is a big issue. Where is this cord attached? And what's the deal with the cord anyway? I mean, if you're asking, I don't even know what you're talking about. Okay, so you may have some karmic situation connected in this lifetime, a past lifetime, or a future lifetime. Because right now, and always really, but we're finding out that all these lives really, it's like a river. It goes to and fro and backwards and forwards, and nobody really knows which way. It's like if you're out in space, which way, you don't even know where you are. It could be like that. So you could be in parallel lives right now. Okay, so in one life, you might be getting along fine with somebody and need that person in your life, but right now, in the one you're dealing with right now that you're aware of, you might need to cut cords. Okay, so we're talking about the one right now, or maybe a past life or a future life. Future life readings, to me, are a huge thing that people have overlooked, by the way. They're always talking about past lives, but not a lot about future lives. Future lives are going on, or parallel lives, alternate lives that are going on right now. So you would take these cords, and I think I already said, and you would use them. But where on your body? Is it your chakra? Is it your physical, a different part of your physical body that's not represented by a chakra, actually an organ that maybe this cord is attached to? Or is it in one of the layers of your auric field? All right, so we would need to find out where that cord is attached. So you would have you and the situation. Let's say you had somebody that was an ex-husband, and you really, 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 in all loving kindness, wanted to get, or maybe not loving kindness, you really wanted to cut cords, but you just really couldn't move past this person. And every time you feel like you go for healings, and every time you do, you just keep bringing them back in. You open the door again. And because we can do that. And so you just keep opening the door. And you're just like, I'm cutting cords. I'm doing everything I can, but I could just feel like he just keeps being around, or she. And so, well, maybe what we've been doing is we've been only working on our chakra or our physical body, and maybe not the auric field. So that what's happened is, they're attached, this cord, and you can envision it. A lot of people will say, well, envision it as like an umbilical cord, and envision it as like a gray or a black. Well, I've seen them that aren't gray or black. They may actually be a beautiful silvery color. They may be a shiny, like a fairy light gold color, because they may not serve you, but they still may have and that may be why you're having trouble cutting it, because there's still some good and some higher purpose between you, but it just needs to be transmuted and turned into something else. And a lot of people don't talk about that. They're just like, cut the cord. And then they don't talk about how could this be transmuted and turned into something else. So that cord is not always a gray or black that everyone has always told you. I'm just going to tell you that right now, because I see them and they're not. And then what you'll do is you'll find that cord, and it's either you're attached to a person, an event, or a thing, perhaps, and you want to cut the cord. So you find out, is it in the chakra, one of the chakras, a transpersonal chakra, a physical chakra? Is it in the physical body somewhere, an organ? It could be, attached to your literal heart, not your heart chakra. It could be attached to something literal, your spleen, not to a chakra. Or is it in your one of the layers of your auric fields? Once that is found, then we would do the cord cutting. But then energy, as we know, never goes away. It has to be transmuted. It has to be changed. So let's say we found it, and it's this beautiful gold fairy light, like a fairy light, the fairy lights that are gold or silver, and it's this beautiful cord. Okay, does that mean we shouldn't remove it? No, we can remove it. We can cut the cord, but then we want to send it to the light, or send it to earth, just like you would all energy. That's why I don't recommend snapping and doing this when you're clearing around your clients. Sorry if that's what you do. Please don't do it around me, because I don't like that. First of all, it makes me think there's something, I want to know what you're doing. And second of all, you need to be responsible for where you're sending energy. Healers need to be very responsible for that. And they haven't been, a lot of them that I'm around. They're like, boy, let's just get rid of that. Okay, I'm going to snap that. And you're snapping it over into the corner of the room. Okay, so what are you going to do with it? You've got this cord, and it could be black, it could be greenish gray, or it could be this beautiful color. So you're going to transmute it. You're going to ask for help for this to be sent to the light or sent to the Mother Earth to be recycled. That's the best way I can put it. Recycled for good, for a higher purpose. Now, what if there's this? Now, here's one that may shock you, but I'm telling you, this is not me telling you this. This is coming from what I've been told, okay? So if you find one, and it's just, you keep reattaching. I'm telling you, this is happening over and over and over and over and over again. I see it all the time. Oh, so-and-so cut cords. I've been to this many people, and they've cut the cords. Boy, they've been snapping all over me. They've been cutting the cords. I've been paying a lot of money for them to cut these cords, and they're not. And then I'll often see it's because it's a beautiful, like I said, a beautiful gold or silver cord. I will cut that cord, but then I will put it in a visual of a beautiful jar or a beautiful vase or container, something, and put a lid on it to hold this energy and to hold this cord for use at a later time. It could be in a different plane, in a different existence. It could be in a future life. It could be in a past life that hasn't occurred yet. I know that sounds weird, but because of the shifting of time, and I just trust that will be used when it's necessary, and I will put that on the shelf in the Akashic records of the person with whom I'm working. Okay? Never heard of that, right? Neither had I. And so that is why I believe now, if we will practice that, we are going to have more of this cord cutting working, because a lot of these cords are not what people have described them to be. They're not brown, black, and yucky and ugly all the time. They're just not. And that's why so many people have trouble getting rid of some of the things in their life that they think they need to get rid of. Okay, so if you have questions on that, feel free to ask me, because I know it's different than what you've heard, and it was different to me too, and I definitely questioned, but it's working. So I take what works. And now also, one of the things that seems to be appearing in a lot of the universal consciousness for those of us who work with crystals is working with connecting to our past. Past lives is pretty common, but also connecting to our future life. I believe, I would agree with this. Many people will say that our past life chakras are here, behind our ears, right here, that little bony ridge point behind our ears. I also believe that you can connect there for your past life and add here your third eye to connect to your future lives. Or you could go on up into your higher transpersonal chakras, but that's a little bit more rigorous of a process, because a lot of us haven't transcended up into those higher chakras, although a lot of people claim they have. I don't see that, the fruits of that. So for the past life, I would use crystals that would relate to whatever area you are from, in that you believe you're from in that past life. So for instance, lapis lazuli comes from certain areas, Afghanistan being one of them, different places that crystal comes from. So let's say you believed you had a past life in Afghanistan, then you might want to grab some lapis lazuli and put it behind your ears on these bony ridges and do a meditation while you're trying to connect to that past life. Now, if you're trying to connect to a future life and you just feel like, okay, and I know this is a little different, but if I was working with you, or if I was doing a meditation with you, then we would pick some crystals, and I might have you draw some crystals to see, okay, where might we be going with a future life? And or we may be there now, it may be parallel, or it may be future. Time's weird. I'm not going to worry about it, but it's another lifetime. And then we could put them behind our ears and on our third eye, those crystals, and try to connect and see what we could get for those future lives and what information we might need to know for this current life. Why do we care so much about past lives? Why do we care about future lives? The reason, number one, it's interesting, but should that be the only reason? I think absolutely not. I think the reason is that we want to heal anything karmically, if that's a word, that needs to be healed. And we want to make sure that we are taking care of, we could take care of some things now so that we don't have to take care of them in the future. I know a lot of you are probably thinking, well, that's something, that's not the right order, because you do the things that you're supposed to do in this incarnation, and you learn your lessons, and then you go to the next incarnation. I beg to differ. I do. I don't agree with that philosophy. I'm sorry for the ancient history that comes from, but that's not my truth. My truth is that we live so many lifetimes. We have souls. Parts of our soul is we're living in so many dimensions at so many times that we can tap into that, and we can do healings on those existences right now. And we can work on it. We don't have to wait. We don't have to. We can also do healings on generational karmic things from generations ago or from generations to come. Maybe we've done some things that we think may hurt, something that might have some karmic consequences on some of our future generations. Well, we can do karmic healing on that now. We do not have to wait. So I do see that very differently because of my view of all of us being not just this one physical body. This is not what we are. And I don't believe our soul is just one in one place at one time. I don't believe that at all either. So just food for thought for you. And if you don't resonate with that, that's fine. But we're in many places at many times, and we are living in parallel universes and alternate realities and past, present, and future. And so there's all kinds of karmic work that we can be doing now instead of just being told, well, that's just your karma. That's what you're working through karma. No. We are ascending much higher than that. Are we still responsible for things? Yes. Can we just go, oh, I'm just going to run in and get a healing and fix that karma? No, I don't believe that, because that's not for our highest and best good, because then we'll skip every lesson. I'm not saying that we're going to skip every lesson, but I do believe that we can renegotiate some of the things that we incarnated to do. That's working on your blueprint. For goodness sakes, we're the ones who agreed to it, so we can certainly renegotiate it. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about tonight. I would be happy if anybody has any comments, or if they would like to have a reading, a crystal reading, I'd be happy to take it. My guess is, because we went on so late tonight, and was on me, I had a client, that's probably not going to be the case. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you, unless somebody actually comments, I'm actually going to show you what I would do to kind of, if I wanted to kind of see what might be a past life, how I would kind of figure out a past life from a crystal. Okay, how would I do that? And then how would I maybe figure out a future life from a crystal? And do that. Okay, it does take some intuition, but it also just takes some research. Okay, it doesn't always have to be all intuition. Okay, we were given brains for a reason in this as humans. Okay, so I've got these cards. They're called Gems Oracle cards by Bianca Luna. They're just the first ones I happen to grab on the table. Got all kinds of cards here. So I would draw a card. I'd be saying, okay, I want to find out something about a past life, about myself. Okay? And I know that I've had a lot of them, a whole lot of past lives. Okay, So I'm just going to get this card. And this card is Smoky Quartz. So what you could do is you could look up, or what I could do is I could look up. I'm not going to take the time to do it right now, but I do know a couple of the places where Smoky Quartz comes from. Where does Smoky Quartz originate from? Where is it from? I know within the United States, Smoky Quartz comes from Colorado. It comes from Arkansas. But it probably comes from a whole lot of other places. So what you do first is you could look up, you could go to mindat.org, mindat.org, and you could look up the places that crystal would originate. Where could you go and get that crystal out of the ground? Where could you mine it from? And that might be a clue as to where that past life was, all right? Another thing you could do is you could say, okay, what are the properties of Smoky Quartz? What do they work with you on? Okay, so Smoky Quartz is a very grounding stone, and so it's a very protective stone. And what's coming to mind for me right away is maybe someone who was somewhat, maybe for me, it's just coming right away to me, kind of a rugged mountain man who was actually very protected in my traverses on the mountain. I just feel a sense of going up and down a mountain and doing a lot of work. And it wasn't mining work, actually. It was just some sort of work up and down a mountain. And it just was just up and down, up and down, up and down. A very actually boring life. It seems like it would be to me now. And I was very protected in that. So you would take those properties of that crystal, and you could then just use your intuition, or you could even use a pendulum to look at the properties and write them down and see which way it would go. What might this have to do with career-wise? Was I a male or a female? And where was this between say it's found in 15 places across the world? I don't know. Let's say it is, then you could write those down. If you wanted to meditate on them, if you wanted to pendulum, if you wanted to draw, write them down and draw and see which one you drew and see if that just made sense to you for a past life. Then what you would do is if you had Smoky Quartz, you could put those on your past life chakras. One, if you only had one, that's fine. Just put it on whichever one you want to put it on. People get real picky about that stuff. I don't care. Put it on whichever one you feel like, whichever ear. But if you have two, that's be fine too. And then just meditate with that and see what comes to you. And then it'd be actually awesome if you could sleep with them too, because you might get some messages in your dreams about those. You could carry them around. Now, how would you do that for a future life? Okay, kind of the same, right? Same thing. So what might I be doing in a future life, or even a parallel life right now? Maybe what is going on with another aspect of my soul? And then you could draw a card. And on this one, it's interesting because I got another protective crystal, and I got black tourmaline, and you would do the same exact thing. You would just get your black tourmaline, and I'd put one on my third eye. If you would choose to, you could put them on these chakras, or you could put them up more. You could lay down and put them up in your transpersonal chakras. You could just lay down and put one above your head up here, and then one on your third eye, and meditate as to where you might be in a different plane right now. And then do your research. Where all are these black tourmalines found? Black tourmaline is about transmuting. It does the same thing we were talking about earlier, about how to not just, energy doesn't just go away. You don't just snap it away. You transmute it. You recycle it into good. Well, that's what black tourmaline does. And it's interesting, black tourmaline says to me that I've actually worked very much with this type of healing for many lifetimes, and will be working with these healings in future lifetimes. That black tourmaline is a very grounding stone. It transmutes negativity into positivity. It wards off negativity. It deflects it. but it's also very, very necessary for any type of transpersonal higher chakra work you're doing. You want to stay very, very grounded, and black tourmaline is a great stone to use for that. So that's how you could use these stones. And you don't have to look up what somebody else says about it. You guys, really, I encourage you, okay, and I was talking to Wendy Baxter, our great store manager today, about not just relying. We were both saying how much we don't have to rely on what every book says or what someone else says about these things, because guess what? It's in the universal consciousness now. Things are going to be repeated. I was like, oh my gosh, there's this book and it seems to say things, and he just came out with it, and I've been talking about this for this long. Oh no, I didn't write my book. And it's okay, because this is great. This is what's happening. It's getting in the universal consciousness that we are going to a new level, and we need to maybe stop relying on a lot of the old things. I'm not saying that doesn't give us wisdom. I'm not saying the ancient ways can't give us wisdom. Don't hear me say that. But at the same time, do you always have to count on everything a crystal book says? First of all, they all repeat each other over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Have you ever noticed that? And second of all, and maybe that's universal consciousness, maybe that's just because they just repeated each other, but also because, it's because it's just time for us to do to move forward and to look into things for ourselves. And does that mean you have to have great intuition? No. You can look up the true factual things. Let's use crystals. The facts are that you can find black tourmaline in certain places. That's where it is discovered. And that it factually, scientifically has certain properties. It has a certain internal structure that makes it be either really, really hardy and sturdy, or maybe not so hardy and sturdy. Okay, and they have specific gravity qualities. They're measured by their specific gravity, and if it has this really certain specific gravity, it may be that you're more grounded to this earth. That may be a reason that stone's more grounded because of its specific gravity, or it's a more floaty, fairy, flighty stone. So I encourage us all to kind of always check ourselves first, and then look up. I don't mean Google just what anybody says, but look up. You can, for crystals, really use that mindat.org, because that's the geology resource for crystals, and see what is it. What's the hardness of that stone? What are the properties of that stone? Where does that stone come from? And then you can start beginning on your very own to figure out things about the stone and connecting that to, your past life, your present life, and your future life. Does it have to be crystals when you're doing this with your past and your present and your future life? Absolutely not. I just happen to love crystals. You could tap in by using oracle cards. You could use all kinds of things. You could close your eyes and tap in. What I would encourage you to do is realize it's not just past lives. I would look into your alternate lives, your parallel lives, your future lives, and say, what do I need to be working on? What's going on with my soul? What's my highest purpose for my soul? Not just for this lifetime. Yes, this lifetime's important. We're here for a reason, but this isn't the only place that we are. So all of us will always say, well, you're here for a reason. You got to do your business here. Yeah, but how about you bring all your whole mission together and start asking what your entire soul's mission is? And boy, I think we'll start being a lot more intentional in our purpose, and there will be few of us that have trouble cutting ties that don't serve us, and we will actually be kinder. And I want to speak a little bit about that before we end. I will never, yes.
I was just going to mention really quick, we do have 2 people who have asked for readings.
Okay, who are they?
Ashley Sims
Okay.
and Raven Moon.
Okay, so I'll do those 2. and then we will sign off. I'm going to say this one thing before I do those readings. I will never, ever apologize for working as hard as I can to be kind. I had when we were in New Orleans this weekend, some people say to me, "Oh, you're kind of fluffy bunny with your YouTube and things like that." Now, when I give readings, I don't ever get that. I think I give the straight to it. I've seen a lot with the things I've done in life, and some things I've been through. But I believe in kindness, and so I just do. I believe in kindness, and I believe in compassion, and I believe that is where we're going with our higher hearts. And I believe in us all trying to work together for mankind to show compassion and to get into our higher hearts. I'm going to say that again. If you watch my Embracing Empathy video, all those days of just trying to be such a badass, again, I stand by that because I got some statements about that. I'm going to stand by that. That does not make you tougher. It just makes you meaner. I don't take it back. Sorry. Okay, so here are my readings. First one is going to be for Ashley. And Ashley, I'm going to do a past life reading for you, okay? Unless she had another specific question, that's what I'm going to do. Okay. All right, so Ashley, I get right away a cold area where it is very sunny. So it's really, 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 really cold in this area, but yet there's a lot of sun. So it's not one of those areas where it's just like you only have 2 or 3 hours of daylight. Where's that? In that, Cassie, like some areas they only have 2 or 3 hours of daylight and it's just freezing all the time. It's not like that. This area, though, is it's not in the United States. It's somewhere else, and it feels like it was more of like a Scandinavian type time in a place, an area. That's time period when it would be called it almost feels like the and if Wendy was in here, she would be able to help me. But it feels like the Viking kind of times. It feels Scandinavian to me, and I hope those two go together. But that's what I'm getting. So they have to somehow. So however that goes together. But it was like really cold, but yet there was sunshine. So whatever area that would be, and but it was during the time of the Vikings, and what I get is that you were also a bright ray of sunshine. This lifetime, you were also a female. You did not live very long in that life, and I actually get that you drowned in that lifetime. Sorry. But it was a very great sadness because of the ray of sunshine that you brought to so many people. I don't know without looking it up where all citrine, which is what I drew for you, where all that comes. It's a quartz, so probably from a lot of places where all citrine comes from. But that's what I'm getting for you for that past life. And why does it matter? It matters because I feel like you don't always realize how much joy you bring to other people. You may not realize the ray of sunshine that you can be in other people's lives. You discount that. You kind of hide. No, hide's not the right word. You duck a little into the shadows because you don't feel like you should take credit for some things where really you do deserve the credit. And I want to encourage you that you do deserve the credit. you deserve the credit for being that ray of sunshine in people's lives, and that you, if they don't tell you, one of the reasons you got this reading is you're supposed to hear it from me, okay? And that past lifetime, the life was cut short, and you didn't ever really know how much joy you brought to so many lives. But you did. And so in this lifetime, you really need to enjoy the fullness and bask in it, the fact that you do bring joy to other people. Sometimes you get down yourself, and you get down on yourself, and get just down about yourself, and hard, you're very hard on yourself, and you need to lighten up on that, because this is your opportunity in this lifetime to show that joy to other people, but it's also your opportunity to actually enjoy the benefits of the fact that people love you for that, okay? So citrine was your card. All right, so now we're going to do a reading, a future life reading. I feel like it's going to be future. We're going to see. And this is for?
Raven.
For Raven. I got the book in there. Like shuffling the book, you guys. I feel like it's this one. Okay. Okay. So it is future. It feels sort of parallel, though, at the same time. So I'm not sure if this is parallel or future. It's overlapping. Okay? So if it's future, it's very soon. So if you start to feel kind of fragmented a little bit, pull yourself in, okay? And try to focus on your true soul, overall soul's purpose, not your life purpose, your soul's purpose for all your lifetimes, okay? If you have any questions about that later, just always get in contact with me, because I know that to a lot of people may be a new concept, but I'm telling you, it's very real. Okay, so I don't know where you are, but I feel like it's in, and this is going to sound a little dire, not to you, but to those listening. It feels like, and I don't know how far in the future, but at the same time, I said that it feels like soon it may be parallel. It feels like you are in, it feels like China. And it feels like you are in China. And I don't know much about the army now in China. I don't know if it's still like huge like it used to be. But you are a male in the army in China. And you are a fierce warrior. And I say why this sounds kind of daunting, and maybe it's almost shocking me a little bit, is it feels very much like something gearing up, and that you're a part of it. You're very dedicated in what you're doing, and it's something that you are called to do. So don't feel like I'm saying you're doing something bad as being in that army. I'm just something very, it's a very, very, you're very dedicated to your cause, and you are, but it's not an offshoot of the army. It's actually the Chinese government's army, and you're in that army. And the crystal, and it's very clear, and I don't know what else to tell you on that. I can tell you, if anything, it's making my heart race a little bit, because you're extremely powerful, and yeah, you're extremely powerful in that lifetime, and it's coming soon. That doesn't mean you won't be in this lifetime. If you listen to the whole show, you'll see that's a parallel lifetime, or it's a future lifetime. I can't get exactly if it's parallel or future. And time's weird, so don't even try to figure it out unless you understand it better than me. And it's red tiger's eye is the stone. So what I would do if I were you is red tiger's eye is not hard to come by. I would get 2 pieces of it. I'd put 3 actually. If you only have 1, I'd meditate with it on your third eye, or I'd put it in your transpersonals. And if you have 3, I'd get 1 behind each of these chakras. They're known as the past life chakras, but I think I believe they're connecting us to all of our lives. And then put 1 here in your third, or 1 up in your transpersonals. And I would do a lot of meditating with what that is and what that means to you now, and why there, and what the point of it. And it may mean something to you. It doesn't to me right now. So it's very interesting, though, and I'm going to tell you it's extremely powerful and a little daunting to me, actually. And the light just like came really bright on in this room. It's like, whoa, I'm not even kidding. Like, it has never, ever done that. So whatever we're talking about, it's Raven Moon, right? It's like a very serious calling that you have. I'm not even kidding. Okay. So thanks for letting me do those short readings. And I know they're a little bit different, but this is where we're going. Just come along for the ride. And I appreciate all of you guys. We have so much coming up here at SoulTopia. And things are just not going in the same old way. They're just not. So hop on and enjoy the ride. Or, stay in the old energy if that's where you're at. It's fine. No judgments. But it's a new day. And it's definitely a new day here at SoulTopia. It's sometimes hard for me to keep up with what our guides are telling us around here, but it is just so exciting. And, we just would love to see you guys at all the events. Check out our website, www.soultopia.guru. Check us out on Facebook. It's SoulTopia. Our SoulTopia holistic boutique page, and especially if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel, I would really appreciate it. It doesn't cost anything, and it's very easy to do. That's Michelle SoulTopia, and I believe that's it for tonight. Oh, we do have online classes starting, and I keep saying that, and they are, okay? I gave y'all a little tease. I've been out of town. I've got 2 really important family, huge milestone things coming up this weekend, and then the next weekend I take my daughter to college. So, but they are coming up, and for sure one of the first classes is going to have to do with crystals. For one of the first online classes, and I know a lot of you are excited about that, and we're also going to have a crystal class here at SoulTopia. So thank you for joining me, and until next time, crystal cheers.